mean, like at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is can she play defense and is she going to score a triple double?
Does she?
Like
Yeah.
I think
Does she
that's
know
what
zone
people.
defense?
Yeah, yeah. Can she run the triangle offense? Is she,
Let's jump to Lola Bunny, because I think this is a thing. It's very interesting. Another day, another controversy. Um, in this case, okay, we've got LeBron coming out with, you know, uh, the next Space Jam movie, right? In which he has, uh, he's basically just doing the same shit Jordan did. Um, the interesting thing about this is that times have really fucking changed, man. We're really inspecting everything. And there's a part of me that thinks we absolutely should. There's another part of me that thinks some of this shit is kind of just stupid and really unnecessary. Uh, that's where we get this whole Lola Bunny thing. Where in the first Space Jam with Jordan, Lola Bunny was really hypersexualized for no discernible reason. I'm honestly wasn't even really familiar with Lola Bunny outside of Space Jam. So I don't know if that's how it was always set up, but everybody fucking oozes over her because like Bugs Bunny, and I went back and actually watched a lot of the clips with her in it from the first Space Jam, but she clearly had like an exaggerated bust for a bunny, and so in this iteration of Space Jam, we are going to get a non-sexualized version of Lola Bunny. And it's caused this whole tiff, of course, of people like, I can't believe that you would, what's wrong with the old one? And other people were like, everything's wrong with the old one. And then the two clash and duke it out, fucking Game of Thrones style. So let me hear your thoughts before I add the rest of my commentary.
yeah, listen, I am I'm all for like learning from past mistakes, right? Being able to look back at certain things and realize like, hey, that thing was wrong and that thing wasn't okay and that thing set up precedents. Is that, am I saying that right? Precedents.
Precedence.
It's
Yeah.
it's precedents. I always
Or
say
precedent.
presidents,
No,
but no one corrects me.
fair enough.
Anyway, so it set forth a precedence that it's
Precedent.
like precedent.
It
Listen,
doesn't matter. Keep moving.
fuck that word. Fuck that word.
All right.
It's set things in motion. Let's just say that. That or that or perpetuated certain stereotypes that were okay, right? Like, oh, if any female cartoon character in any movie, TV show, or whatever, let's just give her like really wide hips, a really small waist, a really big bust, and let's make her lips and eyes really big, and make her like give her this like sexy weird voice, even if it's a kids show, right? So yes, in the making of this film, I'm glad that the team of people that were working on this project kind of caught that and say, you know what, like let's make this more appropriate for children. Let's like address the hypersexualized version of this bunny, and like let's do better than what was done in the past, right? And that's really all you can ask for. But like the people who want to go back and like rewrite history for this, like why not? There are issues today that need to be addressed. I'm not sure if going back and attacking Space Jam 1 is really going to solve any problems. What we should do is be happy that it was fixed in Space Jam 2 and look to fixing current issues today with like how women are depicted in TV and film, and like look to fix that moving forward as well. But like, for example, this movie also did not feature, you remember the skunk Pepe Le Pew because he perpetuated rape culture. Great, I'm fine with that. But people are also wanting to like go back and like cancel the show. Like, how are you going to cancel the show that hasn't aired in like 20 years? Like, let's just not repeat that same thing. But why are we going back 20 years to cancel Pepe Le Pew? Like, just appreciate the fact that we caught it, we fixed it, we addressed it, and like this thing is not going to be tolerated moving forwards.
Yeah, I think the idea is that going back and re-examining everything is something that we do, right? And okay, like let's do a little thought experiment here. You uh during this past summer, right? We had a lot of brands starting to re-examine how they interact with black people in general, right? The Black Lives Matter swept across the U.S. like never before. All these brands came out and said, "Oh, we are all for Black Lives Matter." One of the things that they did was they went back and amended some of the movies, right? Like Gone with the Wind, right? Like they put like an advisory in front of it. First, they yanked it off of the, I think it was on, I can't remember what it was on, HBO, I think it was on. They yanked it, and then when they brought it back, they put like a disclaimer at the beginning, basically like a little blurb about, like, hey, this shit's kind of fucked up. Um, uh, would you say those things are necessary?
No, I don't give a
Interesting.
fuck about Gone with the Wind. You know what they should have done? They should just diversify like the workforce. For the movie studio that owns that content. That who did Gone with the Wind? Fucking let's just say it was like Paramount Pictures or some shit like that, right? I don't give a fuck if Paramount Pictures goes back and puts a disclaimer on it. Like, no, how about you just hire more create more diverse creatives, right? Hire more black people. You can do that today. I'm not worried
Well,
about you going back
the
and
question is,
fixing some old shit.
right.
Do something today.
The question is, why can't you do both, right? Like, and the reason why I say that is because ordinarily, like, I would say, like, one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is symbolism, right? And that
Mhm.
for me and you, symbolism might not mean that much, but for other people, symbolism might be everything, especially if they're not familiar with like some material. Like, okay, so take for instance, there were a lot of white people who came to an awakening last summer where they're like, oh my God, black people are dealing with all this craziness. I can't believe it. Who'd have thunk it, right? To them, I imagine symbolism is a little different because their world is, they interact with the world differently than you and I might interact with the world, where we might take things for granted of just like, duh, like you can't be black and just think you're just gonna walk into a store and put your hands in your pocket and just walk around like you don't have like a fucking mission. You gotta have a mission. You gotta get your shit, get the fuck out. That's the rules when you're black. People just discovering that might see some sort of symbolism in stores saying like, hey, we believe that Black Lives Matter, or some language or jargon. To them, that might be some symbolism that is actually effective, right? So my question is, why can't we do both? Why can't we go back and retroactively uh, um, amend things in order to make it fit in today's context versus just leaving it? Like, I think the advisory ahead of the Gone with the Wind is I think necessary, because if somebody was just looking at that movie, and again, maybe not, they're not black, maybe they're white, or even just like a different race or ethnicity, they might not see all the very apparent things that are wrong with Gone with the Wind and be like, oh, it's just a great movie to me, but not really think about the shit that it is actually saying and the images that are portrayed in the movie. So that thing you think is just like, oh, like we don't need to go back and amend that. That can still be a problem for normalizing shit going forward, you know?
Sure. So here's a good example of what I mean, right? So Aunt Jemima's like pancake syrup and pancake batter. You know how the company like a couple years ago came under fire for like basically using like fat overweight black woman as a caricature
Jesus
to
Christ.
sell pancakes and
Well, it was at one point a real woman, so it's just
yeah, sorry. I should be more sensitive there. Anyway, they use this woman essentially as a prop to sell product, but this company was like white owned. The executive board for the company, as of like last year, was pretty much entirely white, and all the people making all the money from like the selling of this product, blah blah blah, are white, but the character on the box is a black woman, right? And her family didn't I think wasn't receiving any royalties from the sale of a product depicting their family member, right? So they recently changed the branding. They removed like that image from their boxes, and they issued an apology and said, "Oh, we're gonna do better, right? Like, we're sorry for what we've done. We've changed it. We fixed it, right?" But what they didn't do, and what they're not being held accountable for is like, all right, well, how come the executive leadership team throughout this entire company, how come there's like zero diversity there, and they made no indication that they were going to fix that as well, right? So all they did was like say, oh, we're sorry about the past, and like we fixed that but we're not going to fix anything else. And that's what happens in a lot of these situations. Again, I'm just using Paramount Pictures as an example here. They're like, oh, we put a disclaimer on the movie, and like, we understand that this thing was wrong and insensitive, and so we put a disclaimer on it. Thumbs up, everybody, high five. And you're right. They should also say, you know what, we're also going to like be more conscious of these things. And in order to be more conscious, we know we have to diversify ourselves, or diversify the company internally. But a lot of times, because people have short attention spans, that's not what happens. The company will put out like on their Twitter, like, oh, Black Lives Matter, and we're sorry, we fixed the thing, we put a disclaimer on it. But like nothing really, really changes. I'd love to see both happen, but usually it just doesn't, because people have short attention spans.
Right. So again, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I'm the very simple question that I'm asking is like, why can't it be both? Like, shouldn't we hold them to both standards? Meaning that they should clearly like do symbolism, right? Because it's like, okay, like how effective is it if a company, like say it's a company that nobody really knows about, right? Like say like they make fucking like a generic version of like Kleenex, right? Like whatever, right? Like, but they don't make any noise about, oh, like they hired this black person or that Asian person or whatever. Like they're but they have a really diverse team, right? But nobody fucking knows about it, right? What I'm saying is, I feel like you need both in order to be effective. You don't need to necessarily scream from the mountaintop. Sure, you can just show that, hey, we have a diverse group of people, right? But what's also effective is making it known that this is what you stand for. Just like people make it known that they don't stand for other shit, right? Like, so for instance, Chick-fil-A, at least their owner, so to speak, has made it no qualms about like, yeah, we don't fuck with gay people, that's symbolizing who knows if they have any gay people actually working for them. I'm sure they do. And the thousands of people who are employed by Chick-fil-A, I'm sure some of them are gay, right? So, but it's symbolic, right? That the owner or whoever the fuck stated that they don't like gay people came out and was like, yeah, we don't fuck with gay people, that's symbolism, So all I'm saying is that there's room for both. And with things like this Lola Bunny thing, look, there's a petition or there's a movement right now for people going around saying that they want to cancel Eminem, right? I think that that's a bit silly to me based off the fact of what Eminem, like what he's done his whole career. Like, I think it's like silly to go back, but I do think shit like this Lola Bunny thing is like shit that, yeah, it can be amended, because if you look at the original thing, and that's why I brought up the whole Gone with the Wind situation, because it's like this thing is rotten from the beginning, right? So but we're so used to it that we don't see that, we don't draw that connection, because it's like, oh yeah, Lola Bunny in Space Jam, yeah, she's like super sexual for no apparent reason, but like it was like that from the beginning, so we don't question it. It's just a thing, right? So I think it's reasonable to go back to amend some things. All I'm saying is that there should be it's like a spectrum of things that like, and I don't know where that line is and I think it's different for every situation. I don't think every situation's okay, just change everything whole cloth and everything's got to change. I also don't think it's like keep everything exactly the fucking same and just try to paint over it. It's like, no, I think you need to be purposeful with some of the things that you do and be vocal about it, whether it's symbolism or the actual thing. I think in terms of like inclusion, I think there's room for both, but I think that you have to look at case by case basis. On this Lola Bunny situation, I think, yeah, like there's no reason in fucking Space Jam that you need to have big fucking titties on Lola Bunny for no reason. Like, it's very unnecessary.
100%. I mean, like at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is, can she play defense and is she going to score a triple double?
Does she?
Like,
yeah.
I think that's what people
defense.
yeah. Can she run the triangle offense? Is she gonna like get some assists? Can she distribute the ball? Can she drive the lane? You know what I mean? What is her 3-point shooting percentage? That's what people today care about, not that other shit. Okay. So, but yeah, anyway, like I said, I'm glad that he fixed it. And I think, you're definitely onto something there. We should be able to do both. My perspective is like, human nature tells us that people are good at doing one thing at a time. Right. So if I had to pick, fix symbolism shit or like, address certain diversity issues today, like let's address those issues, or issues with like sexuality and inequality for women. Let's address those issues today, and then we'll go back and like we'll fix the put disclaimers on shit.
The thing that I find the reason why I kind of disagree with that, and I have to push back a little bit, is because you're doing the very thing that I think you were saying that the companies were letting them off easy. I think we are letting them off easy if we allow them to say, "Oh, you have to choose one or the other." That's creating a false a false choice, right? Where no, it doesn't have to be a choice. You can do both. You can walk and fucking chew gum at the same time. If you're a fucking organization, if you're capable to do whatever the fuck it is that you're doing, that you're selling to the public, whether it's a physical thing or whether you're selling a service or a property, whatever it is, right? You can manage to diversify your team at the same time being vocal and combating this sort of idea that that black people can't do X, or that they can't be a part of management teams because of whatever. Like, you can do both. You can say Black Lives Matter as well as hire people on your team who are black people. And I'm personally not going to try to let companies off the hook by and I don't even know what the fuck that means. I don't know if I'm knocking on the door of the company and be like, "Hey,
Yeah, let them.
I saw it in your newsletter." But yeah, I would expect more from them, and I'm not going to accept that they can't do both. But I think that might be.
No, I agree.
Have to leave the conversation. Let us know in the comments below what you think about the whole Lola Bunny situation.